The women who've taken over Nashville. Tonight we look at new country. Hello, country and western music with its big hats and big hair has been born again as new American country. The old redneck image has given way to a new sophistication which is sweeping the charts in America, outselling even the established rock and pop acts. At the spearhead of this revolution has been a new breed of female country artists. Women have always been prominent in country with stars like Tammy, Dolly and Loretta, but the new generation have dragged country into the 90s. In tonight's film by Daniel Wiles, we examine this Nashville Renaissance, taking a particular look at Kathy Mattea, one of new country's most successful performers. In a career that's led from waitressing in Nashville to 2 Vocalist of the Year awards and 2 Grammys, she lies right at the heart of the new revolution in country female music.
Do you feel a kindred spirit to the sound of pouring rain? Does your heart start to yearning when you hear a distant train? If you'd like to take that train and ride to someone left behind, you don't need the wind to tell you you're on a lonesome standard time. If you sit alone and think about an old love from the past, do you feel a bit more empty every time you raise your glass?
Now that is country.
Sends a shiver up your spine.
The world today, ladies and gentlemen, is sick.
You're on lonesome standard time.
I love this film.
What country music is that first, it comes from the heart of America, because this is the heart of America. Second, it relates to those experiences that mean so much to America. It talks about family. It talks about religion, the faith in God that is so important to our country, and particularly to our family life.
Oh, you hear them old sad songs. Do you hang on every word? Do you swear a crying fiddle has the sweetest sound on earth? If you shudder at the music of a hoot owl in the pine, you're on lonesome standard time.
There's patriotism in it, there's American values, there's God and country in it, but there's also been a dark side to country music all the way along too. You know, you have cheating songs and drinking songs and, you know, songs about trucks and rain, and so I think it encompasses a really pretty wide range of human experience.
Well, the sidewalk is crowded, the city goes by, and I rush through another day. And the world full of strangers turn their eyes to me, but I just look the other way. They roll by just like water, and I guess we never learn to go through life parched and empty, standing knee-deep in a river and dying of thirst.
I think life is more complex now, and that's being reflected in country music more. And, you know, it's not as simple as you grow up in the country, you listen to country music, that's all you ever listen to, you go to Nashville, you become a country star. There are people in country music now who grew up listening to George Jones and the Beatles and count them both as influences and mix them both.
The train is leaving and it won't come back. We got one-way tickets on a one-way track. Nobody's gonna get their hands on the plans we've made, and nobody's gonna rain on our parade.
I find Kathy Mattea Mattea's image really interesting because she is a West Virginian. She is from the mountains. Her family is country people. But her influences are Joni Mitchell and these Joan Baez and Buffy St. Marie and folk women. When she came to Nashville, she sort of pioneered a whole new image that Mary Chaplin Carpenter and Winona Judd and others have drawn on. And that is kind of like the troubadour, the female troubadour kind of thing. She was a very innovative person with that image.
Till my death I will stand by you. With God as my witness, this vow I will make, to have and behold you, no other to take, for rich or for poor, under skies gray or blue.
Traditionally, if you look back in history, the women were sort of the chick singer with the men's bands, who sort of added the woman factor to it, but not much heavy, not much of substance. And these days, it's the men who are sort of stigmatized that way. You have to be a hunk, you have to wear tight jeans. A lot of people are sort of scrambling for the Garth Brooks image, you know, the country hunk. And the women are sort of being left to be who we are, and it's kind of an interesting twist of events. Pretty much everybody acknowledges that the most interesting music being made in country music right now is coming from the women.
WSIX is your station for today's new country hits and fun. Keep all your radios on 97.9 FM.
It's 9:20. It is the big 98 of Love, WSIX.
Jerry House is America's top syndicated country DJ.
And that is country.
He also feels that it's the women who've largely been responsible for bringing country music to a wider audience.
Country music now is love songs, it's lifestyle songs, it's real relationships, but the quality of songs, the quality of the performer, it really has changed, because I'll tell you the truth, I hated country music. I thought it was cornball and terrible. I have a 20-year-old daughter who loved rock and roll, and now all of a sudden I see she's got Trisha Yearwood's album. She loves Alison Krauss. She loves Pam Tillis, because it's hip and funny and cool, and all those people are the musical style makers of this country.
I knew he didn't have any money. Yeah, that's why I couldn't buy me a ring. Oh, and just because he bought himself a brand new pickup truck really didn't prove anything. And he never had to say he loved me. I could see it every time he smiled. Just call me Cleopatra. Everybody calls, I'm the queen of denial. Oh, queen of denial. Buying all his alibis. Queen of denial. Floating down a river of lies. Yeah.
I kind of came in on a current trend of, you know, people really want to hear what women artists had to say. People were ready for feisty women's songs. And since then, you've seen a lot of women break through with platinum record sales, real healthy concert ticket sales. So with all of that comes a newfound respect and credibility.
Cleopatra, everybody calls, I'm the queen of denial.
This current enthusiasm for female country singers comes after a difficult time for them in the 1980s, when male performers were the top stars.
Female acts got muscled aside on the charts in the late 80s and early 90s when all these hot hunks happened. Women up until that point had really made great strides in the 70s, thanks to Dolly Parton and Crystal Gayle and Barbara Mandrell and Loretta Lynn and Tammy Wynette. I mean, there were big, big female stars that all emerged.
I don't wanna play now. It makes my mommy cry. 'Cause when she played us,
buzzing. The dog is a barking and the floor needs a scrubbing. One needs a spanking and one needs a hugging, Lord. One's on the way. Oh, gee, I hope it ain't twins again.
Play a song for me, Applejack, Applejack. Play a song, let your banjo ring. Let's play one.
They lost ground when this hot hump thing happened, and what's happening now is this new kind of what is it to be a woman in country music, and all these young women are saying different statements about what it means, and that's why it's so exciting right now.
If you're coming with me, you need nerves of steel. 'Cause I take corners on two wheels. But it's a never-ending circus ride. If ain't a heart, need not apply. Mi vida loca, over and over. Destiny turns on a dime. We'll go where the wind blows. You can't tame a wild rose. Welcome to my crazy life.
I think at one time it was kind of hard to be taken seriously. Country music was almost like a fringe. They called it a fringe industry. It was a smaller share. It was really strange because it had a very, very loyal following, you know. But country fans didn't seem to buy as many records. So that really bothered me for a long time because I'm, like, for instance, close to home, I knew my dad was making some great records, and I thought, what a shame not that many people get to hear them.
Here sitting in the window talking to my love, slop buggy pip on the window up above. Here in the grass I'll peep my stream, well the moon got sick so a little bit of me. Stay all night, stay a little longer, dance all night, dance a little longer. Pull off the coat, throw it in the corner, don't see why don't stay a little longer.
There's always been people in this town that have been just a little bit, I hate to say it, I'm going to be very honest here, a little bit embarrassed about being country. I don't know why. It was an insecurity, or like country is not as good as, you know, it's not as cool as, you know, other kinds of music.
Make me believe that I never lost you, but my happy hours I find are so few.
This embarrassment partly stems from the fact that country music is grounded in an unashamed tradition of straightforward sentimentality.
After the Second World War, there were songs about the differences between men and women, and there were also very sentimental, tragic heart songs, and a lot of the great folk tragedies were updated, and there would be modern songs about orphans dying or children being lost or women being killed, and that was a very important part of country music.
She was just a little girl, not more than 6 or 7. And that night as they slept, the angels took them both to heaven. God knew little Andy would be lonesome with her gone. Now Sandy and her puppy dog won't ever be alone.
Some people think that simplicity is not as cool, or even a southern accent, you know, not sophisticated. I think there's a lack of sophistication that some people think is charming and some people think it means you're stupid.
Stand by your man. Give him 2 arms to cling to, and something warm to come to, when nights are cold and lonely.
And I took a lot of criticism for it from Women's Lib. But when we wrote the song, we had nothing at all in mind except a pretty love song. And I still feel that way about the song.
When Tammy Wynette sang Stand By Your Man, remember Janis Joplin that same year sang Piece of My Heart, in which she said, you know, if it makes you feel good, you do whatever you want to me. Now, why don't we characterize rock women as the carriers of a tradition of victimization? It's because we know it's more complex.
But if you love him, you forgive him. Even though he's all
song like Stand By Your Man, although a wonderful song and maybe recorded now as a nostalgic effort, certainly that attitude today wouldn't wash with most. I can't see Mary Chaplin Carpenter saying, "Yes, I want to be under that man's thumb."
She makes his coffee, she makes his bed, she does the laundry, she keeps him fed. When she was 21, she wore her mother's legs. She said forever with a smile upon her face.
The hook, if you will, he thinks he'll keep her, was, in my memory, from an old Geritol commercial where there's a guy talking, he's got his arm around his wife, and he said, "My wife, she cooks, she cleans, she picks the kids up from school, she does all these things. My wife, I think I'll keep her."
When she was 36, she met him at their door. She said, "I'm sorry, I don't love you anymore. Everything runs around time, years of practice and design, spit and polish till it shines. He thinks he'll keep her."
Because people tend to ask me if I feel like I write primarily for women. Well, I am a woman, so I write from my own viewpoint, but I think men and women share so many of the same feelings and have so many of the same hardships. And I think when you address those things in song, you're speaking to everyone.
For 15 years she had a job and not one raise in pay. Now she's in the typing pool at Minimum Wage. Everything runs around time, years of practice and design, spit and polish till it shines. He thinks he'll keep her. Everything is so young, so she'll never mind. Reach until you change your mind. He thinks he'll keep her.
If you have a song with a subject matter that really speaks to women, sometimes it can be really difficult to get that past the men. You have to be really careful, because if your song comes across as male bashing at all, those guys won't want to play it.
I'm walking away a winner, walking away from a losing game. With my pride intact and my vision back, I can say, know where I'm going, and I know I'll be alright. I'm walking away a winner, walking back into my life. Nashville, Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Music City, home of the Opry. With the college hillbilly, say we sound silly like Dolly, Willie, William, and Hank. Well, it might look funny, but they make a lot of money, and they're laughing all the way to the bank. Ha, ha! Nashville, Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, Music City, home of the Opry.
Nashville's a boomtown. People are coming from L.A., New York. There's a, even though it's a growing city, we're getting more sophisticated, more urban. There's a down-home quality that you can't find in a lot of places, and people here are still just folks.
Nashville has thousands and thousands of songwriters, and as I mentioned earlier, lots of the songwriters do other things to make a living, and some of them wash dishes, some of them cook catfish, and some of them drive tour buses. And I am a songwriter. I'd like to sing you a song right now. I answered an ad in the paper that said, "Sign up and learn to fly." The next thing I know, they were counting down to zero and pointing me towards the sky. Now I don't mind the money, and everybody knows my name, but I'm 500 million miles from the one I love, and I'm wondering if she feels the same.
Nashville is a very neighborhoody kind of place. Music Row is, 3 blocks wide and about a mile and a half long. And all of the major labels are there, all the major publishers are there. You feel the vibe there.
Now we're coming on to Music Row right now. This is where about 85% of the country music that you hear on the radio is recorded. You'll see recording studios, record companies, publishing companies. There are literally hundreds of recording studios in Nashville. A lot of them are right here on Music Row. It doesn't look very impressive. You might be thinking, well, gee, this just looks like a bunch of houses. But that's the beauty of Music Row. It is very low-key and very discreet. But there are millions of dollars being made here almost every day. Inside these little houses are recording studios, publishing companies, record companies, talent agencies, booking agents, management companies. And you would never know it driving up and down the street. The next song I'd like to show you belongs to Dolly Parton. Dolly is one of the most successful female country music singers of all time. She was born in 1946 in Sevierville, Tennessee, which is a little town just outside of Gatlinburg in the Smoky Mountains. Dolly and Carl own several homes around the world. They've got a home here in Brentwood, which I'm about to show you. The home itself has approximately 20 rooms. A lot of the rooms are decorated in Dolly's favorite color material, which is red velvet. The next house I'd like to show you belongs to the first lady of country music, and that's Tammy Wynette. Tammy Wynette is known for her song, Stand By Your Man. Of course, she's had a lot of practice at that. She's been married 5 times. Her third husband was George Jones, and she did stand by George all the way to the night when George took a shotgun and shot out all the windows of one of their former homes.
Oh, I wish that we could stop this D-I-V-O-R-C.
And right down over my left shoulder, down the hill, is the Mother Church of Country Music, the Ryman Auditorium. I was on stage there for the first time when I was 8 years old with my dad. I sung Tom Dooley and Amen, 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 Amen.
The answer to America's problems is Jesus Christ.
Nashville is the buckle of the Bible Belt. It is the world's largest publisher of Bibles. Its leading industry is religious publishing. Its population does not dance. This was a dry town until the very late 60s. It's a community of churchgoers.
They may try the bottle, they may try the pills, they may try sex, they may try 1,000 different things, because the world today, ladies and gentlemen, is sick.
Well, my God called me this morning. Just a little while before day. Oh, yeah. Just a little while before day. Just a little while before day. My God called me this morning.
In Nashville, Tennessee, a lot of people are regarded as rednecks. We have a lot of Southern Baptists, a lot of Methodists with all the publishing houses and the religious organizations here. So I think the stereotypical Nashville would be the one that doesn't want to talk about AIDS.
But even so, the women artists aren't afraid to champion controversial issues. Kathy Mattea has been the driving force behind the Red Hot and Country AIDS campaign.
Oh, people, look around you. The signs are everywhere. You've left it for somebody other than you to be the one to care.
She took a huge risk in the particular music category she's in to come out and be supportive. And because she did, that made it so much easier for us to pull other people in.
Kathy is she's very open and straightforward about it. She has brought a lot of people, I think, into the mainstream to care about this.
You know, there's times when I've thought, oh, you know, this is really risky. And there's times when I think, I mean, it's the 90s, you know, how controversial can it be to talk about AIDS in America? I mean, it's everywhere.
I have HIV. I've had HIV disease for 12 years. I'm a country music disc jockey in Nashville. And most everyone knows it, but I would be a little bit afraid to go on the radio tomorrow and say, hi, I'm Hoss Burns, have HIV. How you doing? It would make me a little nervous, not because of what anybody might think, but because of my boss, lost revenue. Perhaps some client might say, well, we're pulling our advertising. You know, we love Hoss, but, you know.
Teach your children well, the father's hell, it slowly go by.
With her doing that, she raised the consciousness of Nashville, but more than that, more of what other people in other areas and other countries perceive of Nashville.
Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh, and know they love
you. Because country music goes straight to the heart, the fans often feel they have a personal relationship with the stars and can be quite demanding.
The fans at Fanfare are the sweetest, most precious people in all the world. It's like coming to a family reunion when you come here.
For a long time, country music was like, the step sister to, pop music, and we never sold as much. It was more of a rural thing. It wasn't as glamorous. It wasn't as cool. The whole thing was you went out and played fairs, you signed autographs. It was a very hands-on, kind of very loyal fan base. And part of what happened was the artists would get to know their fans.
They stood in autograph lines. They got an autograph. They talked to Loretta Lynn in the pouring rain, because she... And I still think there's something to be said for that. It's becoming increasingly difficult to make those kind of connections. But I really feel like country artists still try to do it.
The entourage gets bigger. You hire more people because you have more things that you have to field. And it feels like you get further and further away from the reason that you got into it.
This is Kathy Mattea's first CMA Award for Female Vocalist of the Year.
My manager has this theory that as artists, we're a lot better equipped to handle failure than we are success, because we go through so much rejection on the way to finding our place that we develop those skills.
I'm very moved, and I have always tried to do this because I really like the doing of it, even when I couldn't wish my way above number 50 on the charts.
I wasn't sure what I'd done to make that happen, so I wasn't sure how to embrace it.
I'm glad to hear somebody else said that. It's really strange when you win a major award. Everybody goes, congratulations, you've made it.
Pam Tillis.
And it's real affirming, and it's real special and wonderful. I've worked all my life to get that kind of recognition. But what I found out was, along with it, there's this mind trip, what am I supposed to do with this award? Why was I given this? I better be better than ever. I love this town. After the elation kind of subsided, then there was this feeling of pressure.
Kathy Mattea!
And then I wanted it again, and I totally panicked, and it felt very uncomfortable to me.
It's the CMA's Female Vocalist of the Year.
I remember distinctly having this sensation that I was on this snowball that was going downhill and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't know how to stop it, and I didn't really want to stop it. I just wanted to sort of get a handle on it.
Why don't we get caught in this moment? Be victims of sweet circumstance. Tonight I feel like all creation is asking us to dance.
I think Kathy Mattea pretty soon realized that she couldn't deal with the way that Nashville expected her to be. And the second time she was voted Female Country Singer of the Year by the Country Music Association, then she said that the bright light of success shone on her much too strongly, and she couldn't deal with it. And she hightailed off to Scotland. I think probably, had she not done that, she'd probably be on tranquilizers now and hiding at home with the curtains drawn.
It may not have been the most commercial choice to make, but it was a good choice for my soul.
Tonight I feel like all creation is asking us to dance.
CMT, Country Music Television Europe.
The new country sound is now capturing the imagination of the UK, with the latest videos being beamed direct from Nashville 7 days a week.
Independence Day was the #1 video for the year for 1994 on CMT Europe. I mean, we had just an overwhelmingly positive response. People were writing us letters telling us that, you know, the song really touched them and it made them cry, and I think Martina became a hero.
Let freedom ring. Let the white dove sing. Let the whole world know that today is the day of reckoning. Let the weak be strong. Let the right be wrong. Roll the stone away. Guilty past Independence Day.
The first week we were up, we got hundreds of letters in from people all over saying, I didn't know this is what country music was, and now I can't stop watching it. And we continue to get mail from all over Europe that says that.
The old image of country and western music, gathering at Wembley every year, wearing the rhinestones and the hats, having the Jesus stickers and all of that kind of thing, and being very redneck and conservative. That's gone. That's yesterday. That's a long time ago.
Leading the new country scene in Britain is Exeter-born Sarah Jory.
I can feel there's something happening in my brain. Just any time that someone speaks your name, I hear the trumpet sound out of the blue. Every time that you walk in the
Nearly every weekend throughout the year there is a country music festival of one sort or another, whether that be an actual music festival or American line dancing that is becoming popular over here as well. All the places are becoming available for us to voice our music. Country music is starting to happen at last.
Even the historic Windmill Theatre in London's West End has gone country.
We follow America in so many things, and we follow them faster now. It used to take 5-6 years before. Now it's much quicker.
I love dancing, I love music, and this is very exciting music. It's great fun.
I would really like to see country music over here reach the heights that it's reached in America and become a serious industry. And instead of being ashamed to say, I play country music, when you say it, be proud to say it and know that they're not going to snigger. People aren't going to snigger. I think if you're accepted in Nashville, then you can be accepted anywhere, because it is the home of country music, and singers come from all over the place nowadays. You know, they come from all over America, but they all home in to Nashville.
Kathy Mattea's journey to Nashville started in the mountains of West Virginia, where she was born in 1959.
I was born a ham and always felt like I would wind up in the entertainment industry some way. When I was little, I used to fantasize that I was Lucille Ball.
Sometimes I stop on my way home and watch the children play, and I wonder if they wonder what they'll be someday.
Singing was something that I got into and was the only thing that really held my attention for any length of time.
Make it all
and when I moved to Nashville, I had not seen much of the world. I'd never been west of the Mississippi. I'd never been on an airplane. I got a job at the Country Music Hall of Fame when I was 19.
Elvis Presley owned dozens of Cadillacs during his long career, but this 1960 Cadillac 75 is the most
striking and famous in his collection.
In fact, at one time, it
It was one of the most famous automobiles in the world. When I was a tour guide here, we were not actually allowed to touch the car. There was no sitting in the car, no one sat in the car, no one touched the car. I'm trying to think of what my version of this would be, probably a Volkswagen. Kathy Mattea's solid gold Volkswagen. After about a year, I got it together to make a demo tape. And I started singing demos for every publisher in town, and eventually the record labels were hearing me on so many tapes that they started asking who I was, and eventually I got a record deal.
Kathy Mattea, has her first single record out, and it came exactly 5 years after she came to Nashville looking for a break. 5 years. And she signed this past summer, this June, I believe, with Mercury Polygram Records. Kathy, good luck to you. Let's hear it for Kathy Mattea.
Make a lot of noise, telling all the boys I'm easy. Easy. Take a long walk, baby, quit stabbing this lady in the back when she ain't there. I ain't gonna take it, this smearing my name ain't fair. Street talk. Ooh, street talk. Yeah, street talk.
When I had been doing studio work, I was the person you called if you had 3 different songs on a session that you wanted to pitch to 3 different women artists, and you wanted an honest rendition of all of them. So I could walk in and do a rock and roll song and a bluegrass song and a straight-out country song and make them all believable in my own way. So then they give me this record deal and they say, okay, well, so like be yourself. It's like, well, I'm the verse person, you know, that's like my claim to fame. And it took me a little while to sort of hone in on my own style.
She gets up an hour before she really wants to. Gets a half day's work done before the day begins. She makes a list of everything that everybody needs from her. All that she did yesterday, today she'll do again. She goes off to her job, the school, the bank, and then the store. Then you're surprised 'cause she broke down as she walked in the door. Maybe she's human, maybe she's got troubles too. Maybe she could stand to get away. Maybe she needs something new. Or maybe all she needs is someone just to see her point of view. Maybe that's you.
Kathy Mattea likes to choose her songs from a wide variety of writers. Here in the studio of her Nashville home, she works on material with her songwriter husband, John Vesner.
I love the idea that there's this sea full of great tunes out there and I get to go fishing, you know. You develop friends over the years that hear a great song and think of you and give you the great ones when they find them. I can tell you've been playing it because you're phrasing it different than you used to. Just one little place that I want to hear the whole way.
Which place?
That, something still against my will, always will belong. Instead of waiting, always will. Remember how where you've been sort of evolved that way? It's like, it's just a little bit more powerful the other way, I think.
It's called growth.
John Vesner wrote one of Mattea's biggest hits, which reached #1 in the charts.
One day they weaved him in. He held her hand and stroked her hair. In a fragile voice she said, I'm just not myself when you're away. No, I'm just not myself when you're away.
That's why I'm doing my best to please you.
The success of artists like Kathy Mattea has encouraged a new wave of young hopefuls to the bars of Nashville in search of that elusive record deal.
So with no further ado, we'd like to welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Candace Asher. She's a local Nashville girl. Put your hands together.
From New York. In New York, I would always get yelled at on recording projects to get the country isms out of my voice. And so I gave Nashville a shot.
My friend's trembling at the end of the line. She's pouring out her heart again.
It's a tough town. There's this illusion that it's a lot more accessible to break in than it is. And I think maybe at one time it was. If you were any good, you might have really had a prayer. Today, there are so many of us.
There's a common respect and kind of a sisterhood in the female artistic community here, because everybody knows to get, to make it, how hard. They had to work twice as hard, pay probably twice as many dues, be just a little bit sharper, and avoid a lot of pitfalls.
I had 5 children, and there wasn't enough of me to go around. And my last 4 were cesarean, and I nursed the 3 girls, and they were a year apart.
Oh my God!
And so there just wasn't. So I couldn't quit my family, and I couldn't quit being a Christian and working in the church and ministering to people. So the only thing I could quit was what I wanted, which was my music.
I'm not saying that some very talented people don't fall by the wayside and can't pay the rent and make it here, but there's a natural selection process that's gone on here.
There are too many people around who will take advantage of someone like you who really wants to do this.
Right.
And you're ready.
Right.
Someone will come to you and give you money to do it. The record label will give you money.
Amen. Did you hear that, guy?
Oh, it's lonely at sundown in Nashville. That's when beating souls start to reach. Each evening at sundown in Nashville, they sweep broken dreams off the street.
When I first came to town, we drove down with a record album that I had made at home in the basement and then had it pressed. I got a map of the Stars' homes. It was bright and early in the morning. And I went around and I took my albums and I dropped them off at Johnny Cash's house, at Loretta's house, at Tammy Wynette's house. Barbara Mandrell's husband let me in the house.
You were so great.
Isn't that funny?
It's just living through the lean years, until somebody says, well, she can write or she can sing.
Each evening at sundown in Nashville, they sweep broken dreams off the street.
I tried to encourage people to be brutally honest with me. It's like, if you tell me I'm better than you really think I am because you're afraid of hurting my feelings, you're not doing me any favors. If you think I don't have a chance, then you have to tell me, because I'm going to go on with my life.
Right,
You know?
right.
And I didn't want to wake up at 50, still waiting tables, waiting for the big dream to happen.
Right.
You come knocking at my door.
But as Kathy Mattea found out, getting the record contract's only the first step. She was baffled when the image makers at her record company decided to put her into a steamy bubble bath for her first video.
Baby, you got a soft place to fall. Well, baby, after all,
I don't remember Kathy Mattea, the sex kitten.
It wasn't. It took them a while to talk me into it.
Yeah.
But it was supposed to be, me pining away for this guy in my apartment. And And they ran above it. And I tell you, I was the shyest and, you know, a little pudgy at the time and had a real, and I have no idea why I let them do this.
Oh my gosh. They do it with men as well, but especially with women. Okay, I'm going to take her, and this is what I'm going to make her, instead of saying, I'm going to see what's in her and bring it out.
Right. Exactly. They didn't know what to do with a woman. It was like with a guy, oh, you put a cowboy hat on him, you give him a belt buckle, and you send him out there, you know. But with a woman, it was like, it's not that simple. And I hated the way I looked. They'd put makeup on me, and I felt like I wasn't me.
You come knocking at my door.
And they finally hired someone to tell me what to wear and how to move and stuff, which was a complete disaster. But what that did for me was finally I just got so ticked that I said, screw all of you, I'm just going to do what I want, you know? You can't do this to me anymore. And that was when I began to find my own voice.
Charlie's gotta go watch. Don't seem like a whole lot. After 30 years of driving up and down the interstate. Yeah, but Charlie's had a good life. And Charlie's got a good wife. And after tonight, she'll no longer be counting the days. 18 wheels and a dozen roses. 10 more miles on his 4-day run.
I remember thinking that it might take me a couple months to make it.
Yeah.
I remember thinking, I might have to wait till the holidays are over before I get my big break.
I guess I thought they'd just call me up and say, well, you know, maybe you could come and sing on my tour with me.
I'm not ready to pack it up yet. You don't have to go. I'd like to stay here and pick one with Jet. There's time for one more for the road.
If you really want to get noticed on the country scene, it helps to have paid a visit to the Rhinestone King, Manuel Cuevas, outfitter to the stars.
People need to like you, and they need to be surprised with the elegance, the flamboyance of the show. And if they don't see that, believe me, they'll walk out.
You know, I wear sparkly clothes, and I don't know if I would do that if that was not a tradition in country music, and I sort of do it in my own way. But, you know, Manuel, who learned to make clothes for nudie, is certainly making a very good living in Nashville, making very spangledy, you know, traditional style with a modern twist, you know.
And I just love to make them as fancy as I can. Some of the girls, for example, wear 17,000 rhinestones in one outfit. I mean, some of the outfits weigh like 25 pounds. Although I designed these suits for them, and I know what goes into them, I still say, don't you think this is like a little... And they say, no, I want to kill him up there. I think it's show business. You know, you can't have the business without the show.